Chof Mishnah Gimel. The Mishnah continues with the theme that we discussed previously, and that is certain acts which are also to do on Shabbos, not because they're awesome in HaTorah, not because they're Avos Malachos, but rather because of Uvda Dechol, that they're considered like a weekday activity, and therefore, if done in a certain way with a shinui or the like, then they would be considered mutter. Says the Mishnah, Ein shoyrin es hachiltis ba'poishrin. You're not allowed to soak chiltis in poishrin, in warm water. What is chiltis? So the Bar Tanura says, Kach shmo ba'arovi. This is the Arabic name of this plant. It's actually the root of the plant. V'hi chamon, it has a very hot flavor. V'noagin la'ochlav m'komes hakorim. The Bar Tanura says that the minhag is to eat it in a cold climate. V'ein shoyrin es b'Shabbos, and you can't soak it on Shabbos, to mechzi k'maisechol, because it looks like a weekday activity, and therefore you can't soak this chiltis in warm water on Shabbos. Now, this actually goes according to the view of Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says that dafka in poishrin, in warm water, you can't soak it, but in cold water it would be mutter. The halacha, however, is like the chacham who say that even in cold water it's asa, because it's an uvda dechol. Avol, continues the Mishnah, noisin l'soich hachometz, you're allowed to dip it into vinegar. The Mefarshim explain that that's considered like a regular way of eating, and since that's considered a regular way of eating, therefore it's no problem to eat in this manner. It's not considered an uvda dechol. The Shulchan Aruch in Shin Chof Aleph Halacha Yud Ches brings a different reason for this chiltis. The Gemara says, the Mechaber says, Ein shorin es hachiltis lo b'poishrin v'lo b'tzoynin. You can't soak it. You can't soak this chiltis neither in warm water nor in cold water. Not because it's an uvda dechol, because shederech lishroiser lirfuah. Rather, the problem is that this is the way to soak it for medical reasons. So therefore, some Mefarshim explain the problem is uvda dechol, but the Shulchan Aruch and also the Meiri explain that the problem over here is that it's a form of refuah. And the Bir Halacha, the Mishnah Berurah in Sifkot and Ayin says, "V'chol davar shehu asa mishum refuah asru Chazal lasos." Anything which has medicinal purposes on Shabbos, Chazal asad gezerish mishum shchika samamonim. You might come to be over the issue of tochen, of crushing and grinding these roots. Continues the Mishnah. Ve'ein shoyrin es hakarshinin. You're not allowed to soak karshinin. Now, what are karshinin? They're some sort of bean which are used for animal fodder. So therefore, you're not allowed to soak these on Shabbos. Ve'lo shofin, nor are you allowed to rub them to remove the outer chaff. The Bar Tanura explains karshinin. The problem is there are two girsas here. The Mishnah that I just read is ein shorin es hakarshinin, that you're not allowed to soak it. And the problem with soaking it is that it's a problem of boire, that you're going to raise the karshinin, the beans are going to come to the beans are going to sink to the bottom, and the chaff is going to come to the top. But the Bar Tanura would seems to say the lashon is shoylin. Says the Bar Tanura, matzif aleihem mayim, you pour water on top of them, b'kli, in a vessel, livro psulason, to get rid of the psoiles, shah psoiles saf lemala, because the psoiles sort of rises to the top. That's one way of learning. Ein shoyrin es hakarshinin, you're not allowed to soak it because there's a problem of boire, but it might rise to the top. So whether the girsa is ein sholin, which means you mustn't make it float, or ein shorin, which means you mustn't soak it, the concept is the same, and it's a problem of boire, which is a problem, of course, on Shabbos. But lo shofin, and you can't rub them together to remove the chaff. Again, this is a problem of boire. The Bar Tanura says, "V'lo shofin biyad." You're not allowed to rub them with your hand. Lahashir psuloson, to get rid of the psoiles. Tahavale kaboire, because otherwise it's a problem of boire. Continues the Mishnah. Avol noisin l'soich hakavara l'soich hakalkala. For storage purposes, if you do, however, want to place them in a sieve or in some sort of basket, that is mutter. Says the Bar Tanura, what's the chiddush? V'afal pisha psulosan neifel, even though the psoiles, the outer residue, the chaff, falls off lif'omim sometimes, derech nikve hakavara, through the holes in the basket, nonetheless it's considered mutter. And the reason is given by the Mishnah Berurah in Shin Yud Tof, in Siman Shin Yud Tes Halacha Lamed. The Mishnah Berurah there says, Afal Pi Shenoifel, even though you want to put these beans, you want to put them in a basket, even though the residue is going to fall out by itself, that's considered okay. Why? It's considered something which is dover she'ein mischaven. And the Bir Halacha over there says, b'shem the Ran, Loshen Rashi b'zeh, even though that sometimes it will sieve through the actual basket or the sieve, mashma desvir le'di lav hochi also mishum davar p'sik reisha. So in other words, what you're doing is you're storing these beans in a basket or in a sieve, and it's not a problem of boireh because that was not your intention to sieve, but rather your intention was merely for storage purposes. And clearly we're talking about a case where it's not a pesik reisha, because that which we paskin like Rav Shimon, the dover she'ein mischaven is mutter, that's only if it's not a case of pesik reisha. Continues the Mishnah. Ein koivrin es hateven b'chvara. You're not allowed to sift straw with a sieve. And the Baratanura says, the teven here has been cut. Shehoyu oisin min hakash shemachatchin oison b'moirigin v'nase kol zon of hashibolin teven. You've cut the straw and it's been chopped up, and you're not allowed to put it in a sieve because that's going to be a problem of boreh. However, continues the Mishnah. V'lo yitnenu al gabi mokum gavoya. Similarly, you're not allowed to place it on a high point b'shvil sheyerit hamoit, so the wind will come along and will blow away the inedible chaff and will leave away the edible parts. Again, because of boreh. Or because of zoreh, which is probably the more accurate malacha over there. Zoreh is a form of winnowing, which is also very similar to boreh, where again you get rid of the chaff and the good part you keep. Avol notel hu b'chvara v'nosen nesech ha'eves. What you are allowed to do is, if you want to take this chaff or these beans and use them as animal fodder to feed your animals, you're allowed to place them in a sieve, and in order to transport them and pour them into the feeding trough on Shabbos. That would be mutter. Now, although some chaff may be discarded by falling off because you're transporting it in some sort of sieve or some sort of basket, that's not your intention. And since it's a dover she'ein mischaven and it's not a pesik reisha, that would be mutter. That is the end of Mishnah Gimel.